Hey folks, this is Steve Vai, and I want to say hello to all you crazy guitar players on infomusic.pl. That's a very good question, because a lot of young musicians may sometimes feel a little confused as to how to proceed with their desire to play. And it's always been my feeling that you need to kind of find the thing that's interesting to you and not worry so much about what other people are doing or what the protocol might normally be. Like some people may say, well, you have to go and you have to take lessons, or you have to go and you have to learn music. It's not necessary. It's not necessary unless you want to. I have always felt that it's a good idea for everybody, every young guitar player, to have some kind of an understanding of music in general. But it's not necessary to study music in depth to be a very effective musician. You know, that comes from a different place. But if you're interested, I was always interested. I always wanted to know about music theory. I wanted to completely master the language of music because it looked so beautiful to me on paper. It was fascinating. It was like a mysterious language, you know. And I instinctively understood that if I could understand the academics of music, that it would help me when it came time to be creative. And that is absolutely was major for me in my life.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be. It wasn't major in Jimi Hendrix's life, or even Wes Montgomery. He didn't know much about music, or even Jeff Beck. You know, they are absolutely inspired people musically. But if you ask them to, I don't know, construct a Phrygian dominant scale and all of its chord scales attached to it with substitutions, then they might go, what? Well, there was a lot of favorite moments. When I look back, they've changed through the years. The biggest thing that the most important thing in my life that I got from Berkeley was my wife. Other than that, your experience at a music school or anything is going to be reflected in your attitude. And I had a really good attitude. I was very excited to be there. I was excited to be with other young musicians. It's a wonderful environment if you see it that way, with these beautiful, wonderful young musicians that all had dreams and hopes and wishes. And it's a great time because you're leaving home and you're being independent. You're living on your own, or you're living with other people, not your parents. There's an opportunity to play music with tons of different people. That was really wonderful. Well, yes, it is a challenge sometimes because there's a lot of obligations, and I have things in my life that take away from my time playing the guitar, just like most people who are watching this, And you really, what works is when you find a balance. The first thing I always recommend is don't stress over it, you know. And finding a balance is important. But when I'm on tour, I have to be careful I don't play too much, because the shows are the most important thing for my hands, you know. So I find a lot of time on stage. The whole show is really a meditation in practicing, so to speak. It's not a practice. It's not time to practice. It's a time to deliver. It's a time to express freely. You know, it's funny because I can't understand it myself, but and I'm so fortunate because when I was a young man, 30 years ago, thank you. I got shoes older than you, brother. But when I was young, 30 years ago, I designed the Gem, and it was a very different guitar for its time because of the cutaway, the pickup configuration, just the way it's configured, was just very. It had unique features, like the 24 frets and the floating tremolo, and nothing was added later. It was complete the moment it was made, and it hasn't changed. And a part of me says, well, you should try to develop something else. And Ibanez was. They were the company that made the guitar back in the early days, when I had all these companies interested in making it. I gave them all opportunities, but it was hands down, Ibanez came back with the best guitar, the quickest, and it was exactly what I wanted. Exactly. Everybody else they didn't even come close. They were giving me their models and changing them a little. And I'm like, no, I need this bit much cutaway. Because see how big my hand is, And, a lot of times, and I just thought, well, this is custom for me. I don't know if anybody else would want it. Yeah, it's unique, and very convenient. And when you see one, you know that it's a Gem. Because I knew that other elements of this guitar was going to be incorporated because they were just practical. And when the RG came out, it's the Gem without the handle, basically. It was very popular and still is. It's one of the most popular guitars in the world now. And so many companies now take elements of this guitar. But having said that, this guitar has taken many elements from guitars previously. It's just a process of evolution. But it is a surprise to me that the guitar today, 30 years later, is still so popular, and it's the same guitar. So when you ask, is there anything in the future, it's weird because I don't really have any desire for anything else. I never have. This is like my personality on the guitar. I love I have Les Pauls, I have Strats, I have Firebirds, I have SGs, I got all these other guitars, but I very rarely use them, and if I do, it's only for a sound texture, because nothing sounds like. Yeah, but when I want to go to my own bed and lay down and be really comfortable, this is the only one, and I can't imagine changing it. Now I have thought about developing some other models, and we'll have to see what happens. Well, there's various things that go into what can define your tone, and I think that experimenting with all sorts of gears can be a wonderful way to help you find what's comfortable for you. And there's enough gear out there to float a battleship. But the most defining factor in a guitar player's tone is the way that they hear it in their head, the way they hear their self in their head, because that's what comes out in the fingers, and that's the most distinctive element to your tone is what's in your head, and that translates to your fingers. It's not in your fingers, It's in your head, and your fingers do what your head tells you to do. Now, I went through very many tonal changes in my life, and not necessarily just amplifiers and gear and stuff like that. That has a tendency to change tone, of course, but it doesn't change the personality of the note. The personality of the note is in the mind of the player. And nobody really can hit a note exactly like anybody else, and nobody can really hit the same note exactly the same twice. It's infinite. It's totally infinite. It's all on my iPhone. What am I listening? Well, you know, when I have a chance to listen to stuff, I don't really listen to music as much as I listen to audiobooks. And lately I've been listening a lot to Eckhart Tolle. But I bought the new Queens of the Stone Age record. I think that's beautiful. Right now, just looking down, I have Michael Jackson. Oddly enough, I have all of Frank Zappa's stuff. I have all of Devin Townsend's stuff. I have all of Alan Holdsworth. I just bought the Beach Boys Best Of record because I always liked that, just music, but I never really bought the record. I recently, oddly enough, got into Bob Dylan for the first time in my life, 53, and I just started listening to Bob Dylan because I didn't like him. I didn't get him my whole life. But that was just me because I just wanted to play rock guitar. But I really appreciate him. But my favorite artist is Tom Waits. I have Mahler, everything Mahler ever written. I have everything that Stravinsky ever wrote, right there. And Varese and Zappa. There's this really cool band I started listening to. They're called Alt X. Well, some people might know them. Really peculiar, beautiful music. Well, I would never assume that I know what's going to happen in the future, nor do I really care. But I would tell you this. If you feel creative, use any means necessary that are attractive to you. Whether it's a guitar organically, or if it's a piece of computer gear, or if it's something brand new that just came out, or if it's something that you think about that you build. And if what you feel like doing is very mechanical and theoretical and based on computer music, then by all means throw yourself into it and enjoy the process. There's no rules. That's the beauty of art. You know? And whenever you see somebody saying, and I get asked this question all the time, you know, it's sorry, you haven't gotten $1 yet. Yeah. But it's okay. You're doing really well. You know, the courage. When I talk about the courage that a creative person needs to find themselves, is the courage to embrace their own inner unique creative vision, because they have it. Everybody has the ability to think uniquely, but it's the thing that stops them is the voice in the head that tells them that what they're doing is not good enough, or it's not going to be accepted, or it doesn't fit into a format. Can you imagine if somebody said that to Jimi Hendrix or Pat Metheny, or or Stravinsky, or any of the great people that have come along and changed the landscape? They didn't have a choice, you know. So it could be any field, and my advice is to identify it in yourself and just throw yourself into it and enjoy the process. And just remember that anytime anybody criticizes it, criticism is just a reflection of the person that's speaking. You know, so if somebody said, well, your work isn't good because blah, 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 that's basically their ego asserting some kind of false sense of superiority. it's really you don't have to let it get in your way. It comes from one person, yeah. And I've been through that because I'm probably the most criticized guitar player in the world. And there's periods where I was very much appreciated, and then periods where I was like a bad word, and now it's back up, it goes up and that. But if you let the criticism get to you, then you lose, and you destroy your own potential. So what's going to happen with the guitar in the future, I don't know, but I would think that it's going to be around for a long, long, long time, because the guitar, it's a beautiful instrument. It has many, many dimensions. It has so much dynamics. It can be processed in different ways. It could be organic. You can sit and play acoustic. You can put it through a computer. Whatever, it's this beautiful instrument. And the sound of a guitar resonates people. It just resonates you because we're all vibrations, we're all vibrating. And the way a string vibrates, I think, for me, it just feels good. The clang of a guitar, the vibration, and when you get two notes together, and then you get three notes together, and you hit a chord, it's just this glorious, it's this mystical almost, infinitely mysterious thing that is never the same. And so I think it's going to be around for a long time, and I'm very eager to see how it evolves. Where it's going, I don't know.